The mysterious Anzu Bird, the winged fallen demon of ancient Mesopotamian belief. Anzu, also known as Dzu, Imdugud, Sumerian, and Imdugud Mushen, is a lesser divinity or monster in several Mesopotamian religions. He was conceived by the pure waters of the Apsu and the wide earth, or as a son of Siris. The Mesopotamian goddess Siris was the patron of beer, alcohol. The name is very similar to Sirius and Osiris. I am also thinking of divination, as alcohol, spirits, were, and still are, an ancient divination method. So metaphorically, Siris would be the gateway to the spirit world, which gives birth to Anzu. This would be a form of alchemy. Anzu was depicted as a massive bird who can breathe fire and water, known as the divine storm bird, and he is the floodstorm weapon of the Anunnaki. Although Anzu is alternately depicted as a lion-headed eagle, he is known as the Rockh, the darkness, the black bird, the thunder bird. That same Rockh is the rook, pushed forth by the nobility on the chess set. The pawn is the caduceus, which in fact is Anzu. I have also shown that Shah-Ur, the mythical mace of Marduk, is the Anzu Bird, and I stated that Marduk was in fact defeating his former self. Stephanie Dalley, in Myths of Mesopotamia, writes that the epic of Anzu is principally known in two versions. An Old Babylonian version of the early 2nd millennium BC, giving the hero as Ninazu, and the Standard Babylonian version dating to the 1st millennium BC, which appears to be the most quoted version, with the hero as Ninurta. Yet, in the account I presented, Marduk sends forth Anzu to destroy the land, by fire, flood, and pestilence. But this is not Tiawath, as many believe. It is, in fact, Anzu, looking back to Marduk for orders. But there is a twist to this tale. I no longer see the caduceus, or mythical mace, as the ultimate weapon. All of these figures are inspired or influenced by it. In fact, it, Anzu, is actually using them as personified weapons. If these heroes did exist, which I believe they did, they were possibly merged with an unknown god. The hero's story would have been celebrated by the people, but unknown to them, the literature and veneration created a house for an unknown entity. In the beginning, there was Tiawath, Tuatha, and only due to priestly interpretation do we get the new male figure known as Apsu. Enki also goes by the name Apsu, and if so, Enki is the father of Anzu. A better description would be that they all fall from one another. I remind you that this figure also aligns with the Logos, the Word. He may be literally the god of literature. Words are marks. The marks are patterns, which leads to powers resonated by symbolism and gematria. The energies from the ether may be positive, and this is the part where I quote the Kybalion. As above, so below. As below, so above. Positive energy on our end may be dark energy on the other. As above, so below. As below, so above. This would be represented by two arrows, or an X, the same forwards as back. In the original oracular cults, the X means 7. The Anzu character does not appear as often in some other writings, but he goes by many other names. The name of the mythological being, usually called Anzu, was actually written in the oldest Sumerian cuneiform texts as An-Im Mi-Mushen or Mushen. This in context is an ideogram for bird. What many cannot see is that bird is the word, and it doesn't matter which bird. As Anzu took control of the oracles, reading the flight of augury, and the right to make commandments, which is the written word. But the Logos, the word, in ancient Mesopotamia was Mumu, one of the darksome trinity that fell from Apsu. And like Anzu, Mumu also planned an open war against the old gods, which is very similar to Marduk assimilating all other gods, using Sha'ur, Anzu, as a weapon. It has also been argued, based on contextual evidence and transliterations on cuneiform learning tablets. The earliest Sumerian form of the name was at least sometimes also pronounced Zu. However, there is evidence for both readings of the name in both languages, and the issue is confused further by the fact that the prefix An was often used to distinguish deities, or even simply high places. Anzu could therefore mean heavenly eagle. But if the prefix An means distinguish, and the eagle, the vulture, means assimilate, then he is presented on the crown of Tutankhamun. Thorkild Jacobson proposed that Anzu was an early form of the god Abu, who was also syncretized with Ninurta Ningersu, a god associated with thunderstorms. Abu was referred to as Father Pasture, illustrating the connection between rainstorms and the fields growing in spring. According to Jacobson, this god was originally envisioned as a huge black thundercloud in the shape of an eagle, and was later depicted with a lion's head to connect it with the roar of thunder, very similar to Phobos in the Greek and Roman myth. Some depictions of Anzu therefore depict the god alongside goats, which, like thunderclouds, were associated with mountains in the Near East. The connection between Anzu and Abu is further reinforced by the statue found at Tel Asmar Horde, depicting a human figure with large eyes, with an Anzu bird carved on the base. The word Tel means mound. Anzu is also the god of the illustrious mound, the gate of God, Babel. Many think it is just speaking Babel, but in the world of possession, the people affected usually speak in tongues, which would appear as Babel. In Sumerian and Akkadian mythology, Anzu is a divine storm bird, the personification of the southern wind and the thunder clouds. In the myth of Adapa and the southwest wind, Shutu is the name of this figure, who is none other than the wind demon of Anu. But in yet another myth of Ishtar and Tammuz, Enki creates a demon named Ashushu Namir, hence he is a son of Enki. He was created to aid Tammuz, but yet again Tammuz aligns with the Muzid Apsu. But instead of aiding Tammuz, this demon instead releases the 7 Anunnaki from their prison. The magic god, Shu, in ancient Egypt, is also the god of the air. He was also the god of peace, lions, air, and wind. And this is none other than Tehut himself, under another guise. But do not be deceived, a god of war also brings peace. There is also the figure, Pazuzu. I translate the name as multiplied imitation. This would be from the point of Tiawath's other name, Apsu, being used for a male figure to structure the pantheon and create a god-king lineage. From this point they all fall from Apsu, and Tiawath, Tuatha, now under the name Tiamat, is heavily and repeatedly demonized. All of this clearly shows that there is a purpose behind these ancient texts. This would be to defeat and remove the original god concept, and a claim to the throne of Earth. Why would a priest do this, I hear you ask? Well, this priestly interpretation was more than likely written by the king himself. In this day, they were king priests, who write their own tablets of destiny. It is worth noting that the Anzu Tablet is a precursor and extremely overlooked prequel. This demon stole the tablets of destinies from Enlil and hid them on a mountain top. Enlil's original name was Mul-Lil, and yet again Mul-Lil was taken over by Zu. As mentioned before, Mul-Lil had a wife named Mulmi-Sarah, the true author of the Book of Hades, who were in fact one in the same, meaning that Anzu utilizes both male and female roles. But this female version of himself actually holds the truth of his character. This is the same for Anu, who took over from Ana. After this, Ana became Anat, the demonic wife of Anu. It is bent light or mirror-based concealment. The words are creating the mirror, where you are reading one side but understanding the other. An excellent way to confuse the masses. Anu ordered the other gods to retrieve the tablet, even though they all feared the demon. If God himself is scared, then you should be scared too. It's all about fear. According to one text, Marduk killed the bird. In another, it died through the arrows of the god Ninurta. And in yet another, Anzu is the floodstorm weapon that is used by Marduk to install fear into his enemies and destroy the land. Anzu also appears in the story of Inanna and the Hulupu tree, which is recorded in the Sumerian epic poem Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the Netherworld. Anzu appears in the Sumerian legend Lugalbanda and the Anzu Bird, also called the Return of Lugalbanda. But yet again, I find that Lugalbanda is in fact Zu, hence Anzu is the godfather of Gilgamesh, the father of the god-king lineage, the All-Father. Also, in Babylonian myth, Anzu is a deity associated with cosmogony, the cosmic egg. Anzû is represented as stripping the father of the gods of Simi, which is usually translated as crown, but in this case, as it was on the seat of Bel, it refers to the ideal creative organ. Regarding this, Charles Penglace writes that the biblical Ham is the Chaldean Anzû, and both were cursed for the same allegorically described crime. Which parallels the mutilation of Uranus by Cronus and of Osiris by Set. What many do not realize is that the angels' name changed depending on what task they are performing, meaning that their names were changed systematically and periodically. I find it odd that their names have not changed for a very long time. So let me recap here. Anzû is conceived by the dark Apsu. There is no mention of Tiawath, Tuatha, being its mother. In fact, Anzû is conceived by the new male figure, who I believe was created for this purpose. The character becomes a vessel for belief, but Anzû is also Abu. Ab means father, but U means final or ending. This could mean the father of death. U is also the symbol for water, which would be the flood storm weapon. I have also repeatedly stated that these hero figures slaying the dragon are actually slaying their former selves. Anzû also aligns with the biblical Ham, Cronus, and Set, among many other names. This is a jealous god. In relation to Enki being Apsu, the son of Enki is Azaruludu, who shares this name with Osiris, who has an alternate name, Azaru. Azar meaning to bind, U meaning final, ending, or water. If so, then yet again, it is defeating its former self. Anzû, Set, is ending the life of Osiris, Azaruludu. Undeniably, Anzû is the god of resurrection. Resurrected, reformed, and extensively venerated under many names and many faces throughout the ages of man. Please hit that notification bell to ensure that you are notified of each upload. Share, like, comment and subscribe to support the channel for more Mythology 7 documentaries.